Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Tuesday, January 26th, 2021. I am Andrew Hansen alongside Joe Sarvati, who is affectionately known as Coach. And we've got a three-game NBA slate to go over today, Coach. And I love these short slates. I'm fired up.
I'm excited, man. I'm just happy you're on the show with me today. I got the text yesterday. I'm heading out of town, and I thought, oh gosh, he hit 81K. It's gonna be. I'm gonna check on his phone, and it's gonna be like, if you remember the movie Vegas Vacation, Papa Giorgio. He's gonna have women in cars and money everywhere and making it rain.
Yeah.
So when I heard you were gonna just be heading there to the homestead, I thought, whew, thank goodness
Yeah.
we got the level-headed Andrew, and he didn't dive into the Vegas deal. So
Yeah. Didn't spend it all yet. So
yeah, give us a
yeah.
little info on your background there. I know you're visiting your mom, so what I see some Princeton stuff and a net. What do you got there?
Yep, got some good gear here. We got the back-to-back Ivy League baseball champions banner, 2000, 2001.
Nice.
That was a fun time. And then we got the basketball with the net is the state championship from high school.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so speaking of high school, I know this is a special day for you, an
Uh,
emotional day based on your history with Kobe.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just first thing I thought of this morning when I got up, and then you jump online and all the social media. But yeah, it was a year ago today that Kobe and Gigi down in that helicopter accident. Still unreal. Doesn't seem to register, but I want to, instead of being down about it, and it is it's still an incredible a pill to swallow, but I just want to honor him. I'm posting a bunch of stuff, and I have some different photos and things, and stuff from the state championship, and just sort of honoring his legacy, his work ethic, and he left such an incredible imprint on the game. And there's so many players that are playing in his footstep, his example, his hard work. So it's a great lesson to learn for all the youth players out there, and hopefully their dads and coaches are keeping Kobe's memory alive. And then the tough part for me, though, still having children, two daughters, is losing a daughter. She was going to be such a superstar basketball player, and that's the one that stings, even more. So prayers to the Bryant family. We haven't been announcing it recently, but now that it's the 1 year anniversary, I want to put that back into our podcast each day. But our charity of choice here is mambaon3.org. That's MAMBAONTHREE.org. And it is a charity run by the Bryant family. 100% of the proceeds go to the families that had survivors from people that were lost in that accident. So thank you for bringing that up. It's near and dear, and let's honor him and lift that family up, because it's an amazing, tough thing to difficult thing to deal with. But it is, it's reality in life, and we have to honor and move on.
Absolutely. So we'll get after it here on the hardwood, like Kobe always did. We've got a three-game slate starting at 7:30 Eastern. Three of the six teams playing tonight are on the front end of a back-to-back, and
Right.
we have one game over that magic number of 230 for a total on betus.com.pa, our presenting sponsor. That will be in game two. But the opener here, we've got the Clippers and the Hawks. And
Yes.
Atlanta, the 5-point home favorites, because we have a few key absences for the Clippers.
You
Paul
think?
George, yeah, some minutes and some usage to go around here, because Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Pat Beverly are all out. And
Yeah.
then big news on the Atlanta side, too. We've got Trae Young questionable, Clint Capella questionable, Gallinari questionable, Cam Reddish probable.
Other than
So
that,
one,
this game is a piece of cake to figure out,
yeah,
right?
just the standard starting five and rotations. No surprises coming here tonight in this one. So Yeah, see if you can sort through it for us.
Well, hats off to our partners at BetUS to be able to put a line out on this game when like 8 of the top 10 players combined two teams, are either out or status unknown. So, obviously we've got to get the news. It's the first game, so we'll have the news. So that's very helpful. Atlanta's on the first game of a back-to-back. Clippers are on an island game. Not that it matters because the majority of their top players are out with COVID protocol. Atlanta, 5-point favorite is surprising to me just in the fact that, we don't know about Trae Young and Clint Capella, and those are huge, huge things we need to know. But I would assume Vegas thinks they're going to be in, hence the -5 number, because Atlanta has not been good this year. I mean, that's the thing that's hard to believe. Atlanta is checking in just at 500 at 8-8, and the Clippers are an impressive 13-4, which I believe is that the best record in the league, or the Lakers?
He's got to be right there with the Lakers. Yeah.
Yeah, close. We'll have to look that one up. It's close. But the over-under is 221.5, and we have a real interesting disparity in the numbers today. In this I'll say in the last game, it's 212. In this game, it's basically 221.5. And in the last game, it's 232, the 8 o'clock game. So it's 10-point increments, basically, for those over-unders. So that they definitely have an effect today, and we'll look at that. Now, when we look at the defensive efficiency and the pace, with 8 out of the 10 guys possibly being different that are going to start on the floor, it's going to shift. But we're going to take a look anyway. Clippers right now are 17th. They are moving up. They were down in the mid-20s for quite a while in defense. Atlanta, shockingly, is 6th, and a lot of that has to do with Capella. He just, the block shots, including that 10-block game he had 2 games ago, he's just changed the entire philosophy of that defense. They were a sieve last year, and to be ranked 6th, his presence in the paint has changed all of that and just shifted everybody. Collins is playing a lot more intense defense. Hopefully Trae Young starts to grab a little bit of that, but we will see. Clippers are playing slow as they are with their really balanced attack of clearing it out on offense for George or Kawhi. They're not getting as many fast break hoops as they did in the past. Their defense ran them into a lot of good offense last year. They're just catching up to that, and that's helping pace a little. But right now they're 27th. Like I said, Atlanta is 10th. So it's just an average pace game. Let's take a real quick look at the depth chart of the Clippers, since we know that the majority of these guys are out. So I'll go over that, and then we'll shift it to who I think will get the majority of the minutes, and who I think could be owned or should be owned. And then I'd love to get your opinion on it too, because I'll tell you what, Andrew, this is we don't know. We haven't had this combination, so we got to make some assumptions. All right, the first one is, with Beverly out, it looks like Reggie Jackson's going to get the start. Terrence Mann's going to get some minutes at the point. But right now, the momentum is toward Lou Williams, who's had his worst season in years. But, when he gets the minutes and the opportunity, we know he's a high usage guy with a high scoring propensity. So I think he's going to be highly owned, and rightfully so. At the shooting guard spot, it looks like it's going to be really the Luke Kennard, probably as much as you can eat, mid-30s to upper 30s minutes. I think he's going to be a stalwart there. At the small forward, I believe you'll see Marcus Morris in there with a good run. He was cleared, played the last game, and he's ready to roll. So he's another guy that we're going to really look at, because just the depth factor there. At power forward, more than likely we'll get Batum and a decent size minutes with him. His usage is down in the single digits, though, so he's hard to go after. Patrick Patterson will get a nice chunk of run, probably hit a couple of threes. And then you've got your normal duo at center with Ibaka and Zubac, and sometimes Patterson will get a little run there. So that's the main rotation of about 8 guys that should get all of the minutes, for the Clippers. I think that's about the rotation they'll utilize. The point guard situation is interesting. I'm not going to go with a lot of the chalk with Reggie Jackson because I think Terrence Mann gets some of that time. I know Jackson's usage is decent when he does play, but I'd lean more towards Sweet Lou. I know that he's had a really poor season so far, but if you whisper into Lou's ear, "Hey, we need you to score," I think that sets off alarms in his brain because he likes to score the ball. So he's in a consideration for me. My favorite three guys on the Clippers. I actually like 3 guys here, and it's Luke Kennard, Marcus Morris, and Serge Ibaka. I think those 3 will see the biggest jump in usage and have the most opportunity to score. And I know Atlanta's defense is ranked 6th, but I don't completely trust that. I think the Clippers will have the opportunity to get some decent and easy buckets. So I have no problem, even though DraftKings jacked up the prices on the Clippers backups, which is actually smart. They're still very affordable on Fanduel. So I have no problem going 3 deep on the Clippers side. And really on the Atlanta side, for me, I just have to wait for the news. I mean, if Young and Capella play, it changes everything I want to do there. If they don't play, the first guy in for me is a guy I've been riding for a couple of weeks now, and that's DeAndre Hunter. He is turning into a superstar in front of our eyes. The bum that I'm not going to play, and I called him a bum. Kevin Huerter, he floats around, stands around. I know that you have a soft spot for Mr. Huerter, but man, watching him is frustrating. He just does not get involved in the flow of the offense like I would expect. If Capella's out, you certainly have to consider Collins. Capella scoops every rebound within 20 feet of him, so Collins will have a lot more opportunities if Capella's out. So this game is a big game for me. That the late game, the Knicks game, I won't have much exposure to at all. So it will really almost sort of be a 2-game slate with me, with at least half of my ownership coming from this game.
Okay. I'll have a significant percentage of my ownership here as well. And starting with the Clippers, I agree with you on that rotation. You went 9 deep. The 10th guy I think who could see some minutes would be Amir Coffey, backing up Morris. I think he could get, 12 to 16 minutes. But other than that, I agree with you on that rotation. I agree with you about Luke and Morris and Ibaka getting more of an opportunity here than usual. With Reggie Jackson, I do like his price on FanDuel at only 5,000. I don't think I'll go there for 6,800 on DraftKings, but
That's
I
great.
I like the value on FanDuel, so he'll probably make some lineups. And Lou Williams will be probably more of a GPP option for me because I agree this is the type of game where he should step up, and I do expect him to play better, but you got to pay up for him a little bit. And I do like a lot of the other guys in this price range. So Luke Kennard also will make a lineup or 2 for me. This is going to be fun to see how it plays out.
What is your gut feeling on Atlanta with the 2 main guys? Do you see any coach talk or anything that they may play or may be out, or are you 50-50?
I haven't seen anything, but one of the key facts you mentioned earlier is that this is the front end of a back-to-back.
True.
With Atlanta. So I always, lean towards the possibility that these coaches will, and training staffs will hold these guys out on the front end, give them one more day to get healthy, and play them more on the back end. And it is going to be Brooklyn, so they're going to need everybody ready to go for that one. But I haven't seen anything concrete. So all I know is I'm locking in Huerter, Hunter, and Collins to be out there. And Hunter, for me, I think he's likely to be in my lineups, whether Young and Capella play or not,
Yeah,
because of the reasons you mentioned, and his price is reasonable on a 3-game slate. So he's kind of a glue guy for me. Herter probably won't go there much unless Trae Young sits. And then if he does, I mean, 4,800 on FanDuel is an excellent price.
I
So
wouldn't pay
he'll get,
$48 without the zero. That's how mad I am at Herter.
I
Because
mean,
I did
the
play
thing
Herter
with Herter,
last
though,
time. Last
yeah,
time Young sat and he didn't do squat. Nothing.
well, he's got a lot of volatility, and I
Yeah.
know you don't like that as primarily
No.
cash player, but uh, he's going to have a ton of opportunity if Young is out, and then he doesn't have Pat Beverly defense on the other side.
True.
So, Herter is one of the big X factors here on this slate. In terms of the bench guys for the Hawks, um, Rondo also comes into play if Trae Young is
Yes,
out. I
he
mean, he's
does.
only 4,200 on DraftKings, and he had
That could be this. That could be the steal right there. I'm glad you
yeah,
mentioned it.
I mean, he stacked up the stat sheet here recently in under 20 minutes coming off the bench. So if he starts
Yeah.
and gets 30, look out there. Uh, I think Solomon Hill, could get some minutes. He's only 3,100 on DraftKings. Uh, and, get the Gallinari news is important too.
Right.
Uh, so it's just going to be tough. I mean, this game right here is like a classic 2021 game with stars out on one side, stars questionable on the other. So it's a perfect example of the benefits of membership with us so that we can crunch all that news at the last second and build those final lineups for you on FanDuel and adjust the DraftKings coaches clipboard for you. So,
I agree with you 100%. I mean, I remember not that long ago, a year and a half ago or whatever, when there was a decent amount of news. This news now is like, I mean, it's 10 times what the news used to be. I mean, you'd have 2 or 3 guys you were waiting on. But I remember being at work and just not, having the opportunity to find out any of the information. And then on the commute home in the Dallas traffic, bumper to bumper here, I'd be trying to hear news and swap players, which I did, only when I was at a stop, but
right.
not on the highway. But and so it is tougher. So I mean, we're scouring this sucker, 24/7. I swear, I've got alerts going off in the middle of the night, trying to give us the upper hand. So I'll tell you, it's a great time to join DFS Coach Talk. Go to dfscoachtalk.com to get a membership. And we'll follow this news for you. We'll have it laid out on a silver platter for when you get home from work, or even if you're on your phone on your commute listening in. And we'll get all that up on Discord as we're getting closer and closer to lock. So hopefully that'll be a big help. We also have a great deal right now with BetUS that is still offered that goes through April 1st. You want to explain that one a little bit?
Yeah, if you can make a first time deposit at betus.com.pa of 149, you get to use that money on BetUS for all your sports wagering needs, but you also get a free membership with us, no extra cost all the way until April 1st. And you get our lineups every main slate in the NBA, cash lineup, GPP lineup, the DraftKings coaches clipboard, and you get our lineups in the other sports as well, NFL, PGA, MLB. So tremendous value. Take advantage of it. You just have to be that first time deposit in that category. And if you do that, use the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, and then we'll get you into our Discord. And that's where we give out the lineups about 20 minutes before tip off.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to go that route and you just want to dip your toe in the water, we've got a week membership that you can jump in and check it out. We have a lot of folks that have been doing that recently. All right, let's fire on to this second game, because this is the big fat total point game that everybody's going to be stack city in.
Yeah, it certainly is. The over under here 232 as the Wizards traveling to Houston to take on the Rockets. The Rockets are 3.5-point home favorites. A lot of absences still for the Wizards. We've got Rui, Bertans, Avdia, Ish Smith, Troy Brown Jr., and Mo Wagner all out. Raul Neto is questionable with a groin issue. On the Houston side, Christian Wood is doubtful. We don't think he's going to play. Daniel House is back in the lineup. So let's start with the moving parts over with the Wizards. And the starting lineup that I'm expecting is Westbrook, Beal, Jerome Robinson, Bonga, and Lopez. And the key bench guys, Cassius Winston, if Neto doesn't play, Garrison Matthews, Anthony Gill might get a few minutes, and then the newly acquired Alex Len. And out of those guys, Beal for me is number one lock and load. Absolutely love him on this slate. Rockets are decent defensively, but they play at that seventh ranked pace. And the Wizards we know as the number one pace team in the NBA.
Yeah.
And they're bad defensively. So the Rockets are going to put up some points, and that's what leads to this high total. So I like Beal here in a game like this. Fair price tag around 10,000 on both sites. He's locked in for me. Jerome Robinson is a real value on this slate. Only 4,000 on DraftKings, 3,600 on FanDuel, and get this, he's a point guard. So this really gives us an opportunity here to get two starters in this game from the Wizards side. And then if you go a value point guard with Reggie Jackson, then you've got money to pay up elsewhere. Or if you want to potentially get Trae Young in the lineup if he plays, I just think that Jerome Robinson gives you value and opportunity with him being a cheap point guard on FanDuel. Don't think I'll get to any of the bigs for the Wizards or the bench guys other than maybe Cassius Winston. But the thing is, he's $100 less than Jerome Robinson on FanDuel, so I don't think you need to go there. It would really only be on DraftKings where he's 3,200.
Okay.
On the Houston side, it looks like we're going to have Wall, Oladipo, and Gordon together for the first time. Yeah. So this will be fun. Plus, we've got Wall going against his former team and Beal going against Wall, so they've got that dynamic. And then with Wood likely out, we've got Cousins back in that starting spot again. And he's been priced up a little bit on both sites, but I still think it's fair. So I'm going to play him a bunch. At FanDuel at 7,200, he's starting to inch up there towards Gobert, and then Capella obviously is the real pay-up option. So he's not quite as much of a lock for me on FanDuel, but 6,000 on DraftKings I think is very reasonable. With Wall, Oladipo, and Gordon, we're not quite sure how many minutes Wall will play, but this is it's a buy low opportunity on him at 6,900 on DraftKings. Oladipo is a little bit more expensive here. A little bit. I'm tentative to play him with Wall and Gordon out there, but this is a great game environment for him, so I'm gonna play with that. I'm curious your thoughts there. Gordon I think is a fair price on FanDuel at 6,000. And then I don't think I'm going to go to any of the bench guys for Houston because with House back in, we don't know how many minutes he's going to get. We don't know what that will do to Jayshawn Tate. How many minutes does McLemore get? So I'm probably going to steer away from that and look more at the starters in this game.
Very good. I looked at this game for a couple of hours, literally. So call me crazy, but I really like the way this game script works for this game. First of all, good points, by the way. I think great breakdown there. On the Washington side, Westbrook played mid to upper 20s the last game back, his first game back. So, I mean, he's certainly very playable here. I mean, he could play 32, 33, 34 minutes, possibly. I have him listed at 30. But, we know he can get it done in that period of time. I'm with you, though. Bradley Beal is my top play on the Washington side. They had sat out quite some time with the COVID cancellations, but they needed to get the rust off. In that last game, you could see the rust falling off as that game went on. So I think this could be one of those games where he just lets loose and has one of his monster games. I love two value guys for Washington here. Jerome Robinson, who I've been a fan of for years, he's been around the league for a while with Washington and LA and some different places. And he's always been able to score, and he's multidimensional. He's not a very big guard, but he can play the one and two easily. They have him penciled in here as the starting small forward, but he's not a small forward. But with Beal and Westbrook, they can make it work. I mean, a lot of teams play small, and he's efficient when he's out there. Now, is he going to put up the game he did last time out with Westbrook and Beal back at full strength? Possibly not, but his price is still good, and I think he's a fine option. Again, if you're looking to make your salary work. The other guy that I really like is their two-way player. He showed signs of being a stud last year in limited action, but Garrison Matthews is a guy that when he's out on the floor, he plays like he thinks he should be out on the floor. He doesn't play like a rookie. He's not shy. He gets to the bucket, gets a lot of 50-50 balls, and he's super cheap. And I think he'll get really solid minutes here. He's a really, really good value play for me today. As far as the bigs go, not interested in the Lopez, Len, and maybe a little bit of Bell split there. No interest in Bonga, never had, never will. Just not going to go there. So again, Westbrook in consideration, Beal a lock and load. And then I'm all for, Jerome Robinson and or Garrison Matthews on that side of the ball. All right. On the Houston side, I have my favorite play of the day, Andrew. Number one play of the day. You want to take a guess?
I don't know, because if it's only one Houston guy for me, it's Cousins, but I don't know if you're going to go there.
It's John Wall. Multiple reasons. Motivation to play against Washington. Definite payback. He's stated it a few times in the press that he wants to stick it to him. He's going to be super motivated going against Beal, who that was his running mate in the backcourt for years. Wall was one, and Beal was the number two to Wall. And so it's like the big brother, little brother thing. He took Beal under his arm, under his wing, and help create Beal as a superstar. But when you get that scenario, it's the puff out the chest thing. I think Wall shows up here. I think he's going to be dominant. And, a couple of things that make me like him even more. Victor Oladipo had to run the point just literally ran the point when Wall was out. So that's going to take some of the opportunity away from Oladipo as far as assists and playmaking. So I'm going to downgrade him a little bit there. Also, Eric Gordon, he's fantastic. When he's the key guy that needs to score, he's going to shoot from everywhere and score. But he's also a guy, as a veteran, that has no problem taking a second flight approach and letting the top dogs do their thing. And with both Wall and Oladipo back, I think he regresses enough at his cost that I'm not going to go at that mid price with him. My second choice for the Rockets with Wall is DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, they haven't raised his price like they should have. He's going to play the majority of minutes at center. They didn't play yesterday. There's no reason to think that he's not going to do just fine in this game against that, conglomeration of centers from Washington that are nothing to write home about. So, Cousins is going to be massively owned, but you got to eat the chalk there. That's just the way it goes. My two guys on this side though are Wall and Cousins for sure, and that's probably going to be it. So, what do you think?
Yeah, Wall, I agree with the motivation. And again, I love his price on DraftKings. The only other hesitation is Westbrook will certainly get after him and make life difficult. And, Wall now has multiple options to get it to the wing to Oladipo and Gordon. So I don't think he needs to shoot a ton. But in the preseason, I did like the two-man game I saw between Wall and Cousins. Yeah. So they've got that chemistry. So I do think there's some nice correlation there with that group if you go with those two.
That is a great point. And a couple things too, just in case. Daniel House is back. This is his first game back in a long time. And they didn't put a quote unquote minute restriction on him, but I did read something that came from their coach. And he said that he's going to bring House along slowly. So maybe 15, 18 minutes. And the guy that I love that I've been playing, Jashawn Tate, I mean, I really love the guy, but I just don't know if he gets lost in the shuffle with all of this, you know? It's
Yeah, I
going to
think
be
he might.
tough.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a
Can't
shame
trust him
because
today.
he's right. I'm with you, man. I'm with
Yep.
you.
All right, game 3. The 9 o'clock tip Eastern. Knicks and Jazz.
Yep.
212.5 total on BetUS. Jazz favored by 11.5 here. They are hot. They're up to 12-4. Knicks stumbling a little bit here on the road. They're at 8-10 now. And with
Yep.
the news on the Knicks side, Bullock is out. Rivers and Ntilikina are probable. And Utah's at full strength. So what do you have here in game 3?
Very simple. They're 4th and 3rd in the league in defense. Both teams have played great D. They're 30th and 21st in pace. The number's 212. You know, Utah has a good possibility of blowing them out. It's a double-digit game. I mean, it just smells like avoid this game at all costs. And that's really what I'm going to try to do. I mean, I respect the way Utah's playing. I mean, they've won 8 in a row. I think they'll win this one. And then guess what? The next 2 games on Wednesday and Friday, Utah against the Mavs. Not happy about that at all. So I'm expecting Utah to just smack them around. Yes, you could take some, shots here. I certainly wouldn't pay up for any of the big boys. If there's one off that I would recommend in this game, it would be Burks. He used to play in Utah. He's also playing really good ball. The coach has a lot of confidence in him, and his price is right. So really, other than that, Andrew, I'm not even going to mess with this game. My spots are filled.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
I've got a couple extra spots here, probably, it sounds like, than you. And Randall is an option for me, especially on Fanduel. He's 9,100. Don't think there's quite as many options there at the powered forward position today as usual. And we know he's the most locked in guy on the Knicks in terms of minutes and usage. And I know he's got to get in there and deal with the stifle tower a little bit at the rim, but Randall mixes it up, and probably we'll start with the O'Neal defense, and I think he can muscle him up pretty well. So I like Randall here. Burks, I like the narrative there that you mentioned. Barrett is, could squeeze into a lineup for me. With the guards, I'm getting a little nervous with Peyton because Quickly's really picking it up.
He was unbelievable the last game, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Over 30 actual points.
Yeah.
And the thing is, his minutes aren't quite consistent yet. They're kind of playing around with it, where sometimes Peyton gets the more traditional 30 to 32 starters minutes, but then last game it was a mix, more like 24 each, and that was a 3-point game that lost to Portland. Yep. So I'm not really comfortable playing Peyton right now. So Quigley's a GPP option for me. The tough thing is he's almost as expensive now as Peyton.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's probably it for me with the Knicks. Nerlens Noel on DraftKings is only 3,600. That's a decent price for him. And then on the Utah side, Donovan Mitchell at 8,500. If you want to go and pay for 2 shooting guards along with Bradley Beal, you could structure your build that way. And then that's probably it. Ingles is cheap on DraftKings. He can approach a double-double even coming off the bench. That's probably it though for me. I'm not going to do much with this game, but maybe a couple of guys will make the roster.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, please take a second, hit that thumbs up. That means a lot to us. Hit that subscribe button. That's extremely important. And click the little alarm alert button there up in the upper corner. That'll let you know every time one of our podcasts posts. We also have a PGA podcast that'll post later this afternoon for this weekend's tournament. So we're excited about that. But really, we would make that ask on YouTube that you do that. If you're listening to us audio wise on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or iTunes, take a second, hit those 5 stars, make a quick positive comment. Again, that helps move us up in those algorithms to get more views, and we really, really appreciate that. Also, we have a contest going in honor of Mr. Andrew Hansen, his 81K takedown on Sunday in football. We decided to do the 81K weekly membership giveaway this week, and it is going to be drawn tomorrow about 2 hours before the set of games on Wednesday. So whoever wins that can jump in and get tomorrow's lineups. However, in order to qualify, you can go to DFS at DFS Coach Talk on Twitter. All you have to do is like and retweet the tweet that is posted there by Joe Stanton and Tyler Pitzer on the DFS Coach Talk Twitter account, and then subscribe on YouTube. Those 3 things are done. You qualify. Hopefully you'll be a winner tomorrow.
That is the situation. So yeah, any questions, just reach out to us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. You can find the coach at JOESARVADI. He's got a lot of stuff there on Kobe today. And you can find me at Language Olympic. And then the third member of our podcasting team, Shane, is at DET Sports Shane. So that is the group. We appreciate you tuning in today. Like Coach said, check out the golf podcast later today and check back in with us tomorrow for our next NBA podcast as we look to crush it in DFS.